50 Cent has one of the craziest come-ups in hip-hop history. Like, who remembers when Jay-Z said this?
Put out a lot of music because 50 Cent is coming. 4 months later, in the club hit and it was over. And now everybody got to sit on the sidelines and wait this tight to wave out.
So things would kick off for 50 Cent back in 1996 when at just 21 years old, he just so happened to have a chance encounter with Jam Master Jay in a nightclub. 50 Cent was a born hustler, and at the time he had wanted to make a change, and that change involved reinventing himself into a rapper. So with the fake it till you make it mindset, 50 Cent told Jam Master Jay that he was in fact a rapper. So they would go back to Jay's studio and record a rough demo. And Jam Master Jay knew two things immediately. One was this kid had never stood in front of a microphone in his entire life. And number two, the person in front of him had limitless potential. It was around this point in time that Curtis Jackson decided to reinvent himself as 50 Cent. 50 said he chose the name because it represented the change that he was going through in life. But at the same time, he was paying homage to the original 50 Cent, the legendary Brooklyn dealer, Kelvin Martin. Fast forward a couple of years, and 50 Cent's career progress had been going extremely slow. He had become really frustrated with Jam Master Jay and the way he did things, and felt like Jay wasn't giving him his undivided attention. One day, he ran into a Columbia Records executive outside of a barbershop. This particular Columbia executive was named Corey Rooney. 50 Cent would hand Corey Rooney his demo tape, which he immediately listened to and was blown away. Rooney immediately thought that 50 Cent could probably be the next Jay-Z, so they signed him. He didn't make much money out of the deal because most of it had to go to Jam Master Jay to buy 50 Cent out of his original contract. So at this point, 50 Cent was pretty much broke, so he had to go back to doing what he did best, which was drug dealing. But at the same time, 50 was spending a lot of time in the recording studio and would end up releasing one of the most legendary mixtapes of all time, The Power of a Dollar. This was also the mixtape that had two of 50 Cent's most infamous songs, Ghetto Quran and How to Rob.
I snatched Kim, tell Puff you wanna see her again? Dance your ass down to the nearest ATM.
How to Rob was a hungry, angry 50 Cent, and it was his opportunity to kick down the door of the industry and send shots at everyone. One of those people just happened to be the New York legend Jay-Z. Power of a Dollar would have a lot of buzz in New York. Jay-Z would end up hearing it and actually send back a response towards 50 Cent.
I'm about a dollar, what the is 50 cents?
It was around this point in time that all of his hard work really started to pay off. Because of all people, Nas was about to go on his Nostradamus tour and chose to take 50 Cent with him. Nas was actually one of the first mainstream rappers to embrace 50 Cent. And to 50, this was everything coming together. The sky was the limit. But at the same time, Nas and 50 Cent would end up having a little bit of a falling out. Because of 50's buzz in New York, a lot of the rappers in the area were starting to pay attention, and he was starting to make some enemies. One of those enemies in particular just happened to be the fellow Queens rapper Ja Rule. Now, Ja Rule was signed to Murder Inc., which was associated with Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Supreme was a legendary New York gangster and dealer who decided to get his life straight after prison by getting into hip-hop. He would end up making a lot of good moves and worked his way into Murder Inc. It was around this point in time that one of 50 Cent's friends would snatch Ja Rule's chain. Then one night, Ja would spot 50 with that guy in a nightclub. So right now, the beef between Ja Rule and 50 Cent was really starting to simmer. But because Supreme was with Murder Inc. and 50 had a lot of respect for him, he would approach Supreme and ask him what he should do about Ja Rule. And Supreme would tell 50 to just let it all go. 50 would listen to what he had to say and agreed and told Supreme that he was going to drop the beef. Then he turns right around and makes a scathing diss track on Ja Rule called Your Life's on the Line.
Ja, why you get jokes in your own hood? Why niggas who rob you walk around like it's all good? Damn. Why you ran the Supreme to get your shit back? Why you wanna approach me? Cause you know I put your shit back.
Something had become very clear, and that was 50 Cent hated Ja Rule. 50 knew Ja Rule was fake and wasn't about any of the things that he was saying in his songs. And to 50, because he was actually about that life, he was taking it as a personal insult. It was at this point when Supreme would take the initiative to intervene and told 50 Cent and Ja Rule to squash the beef. Once again, 50 and Ja would find themselves in the same room. So 50 wanted to take this as an opportunity to just clear the air. But as the two started to approach each other, Ja Rule had a bat in his hand and he was making motions with it towards 50. 50 saw this as a sign of aggression, so he quite literally just beat the shit of Ja. This would kick off a massive brawl between Ja Rule's crew and 50 Cent's crew, and in the scuffle, Ja Rule would have his chain snatched again. And adding insult to injury, 50 would shoot a video for Your Life's on the Line where he would be wearing Ja Rule's chain the entire time. Now here's where Supreme would intervene for a third time and get Ja Rule's chain back and tell 50 to again chill the out. Again, you have Supreme telling 50 that he should squash the beef with Ja Rule, but 50 Cent wouldn't have it at all. Flash forward a little bit and we're in the year 2000, 3 years before Get Rich or Die Trying would drop. 50 Cent and Ja Rule would find themselves again in the same building. This is where their beef would reach the point of no return. The two parties again engaged in a brawl and someone ended up getting stabbed. And what's crazy about this altercation is just before 50 had gone into this building, he decided to leave his gun in the car. Now had he brought this gun into the studio, there probably would never have been a 50 Cent. The 50 who blew up and became one of the biggest artists in history would not have existed. The only 50 Cent we would have known about is the 50 Cent who shot and killed Ja Rule. It's just a really crazy thing to think about because it almost happened. After everything was all said and done, Supreme had officially had it with 50 Cent. He was upset about the things 50 had said in his song Ghetto Quran, and he felt like 50 had become just too much of a problem. And it was right then that Supreme put out the word that 50 Cent had to go. Supreme had officially called for the head of 50 Cent. Which brings us to the day of May 24th, 2000. 50 Cent was sitting in a car in front of his grandma's house in Jamaica, Queens. That's when 9 shots would ring out and hit 50 Cent. 50 Cent would be shot 9 times at close range. He suffered bullet wounds to his hands, arms, chest, face, head, and legs. Matter of fact, those bullets would end up shattering both of his legs. And by some miracle, he would end up surviving. But his deal with Columbia Records didn't stand a chance. They had gotten really tired of all the negative attention that 50's antics had brought to the record label, so they decided to drop him while he was fighting for his life in the hospital. The person responsible for the shooting was a close associate of Supreme named Daryl Baum, aka Hamo. Daryl Baum would never see a moment of jail time for the shooting because 3 weeks later his body was discovered after he was shot execution style in the back of the head. So after 50 got out of the hospital, he would go around to different record labels and try to get a deal, but nobody would touch him. One of the labels 50 Cent made a stop at to try to get a deal was Bad Boy Records. Puff Daddy has always been a master manipulator and would pride himself on his ability to play mind games. Puffy wanted to see exactly what 50 Cent was all about, so he would stage an altercation just a few feet outside of his office. When he walked into his office, he saw 50 Cent along with everyone in his crew dressed in bulletproof vests with their guns drawn. It was at that moment that 50 Cent was nearly run out of Bad Boy Records. And the craziest part about that is years later, Puff Daddy would actually have to present 50 Cent an award for Get Rich or Die Trying. So at this point in time, it was the year 2002, and 50 Cent was not only blackballed from the industry, but he couldn't even get into a recording studio anywhere. Everyone was so afraid of 50 and the drama that he would bring that he couldn't even get studio time, which would lead to him going to Canada and recording a bunch of mixtapes. One mixtape in particular was Guess Who's Back.
Every few years a nigga come from crazy hot. I'm the next best thing since Biggie and Pop.
I got 4 Max, a few 9s, I'm ready for beef. You wanna talk, it ain't about money, then let it be brief.
Nigga, guess who's back? It's not Benny Siegel, J-Ho, 50 Cent, y'all niggas should know.
And it would be that mixtape that through an incredible chain of events would end up making it into the possession of none other than Eminem. And this was 2002 Eminem. This was Slim Shady Eminem, who didn't give a and wasn't afraid of anything. As soon as he heard 50 Cent, he got in contact and brought 50 Cent to LA to meet Dr. Dre. They would end up signing him, and 50 Cent got to work on the album that would later become Get Rich or Die Trying. And it was at this point in time that every single artist in hip-hop's worst fear had come true. The boogeyman had returned, and 50 Cent was coming for everybody. Everything that had happened to him, everything that he had gone through over the last 7 years turned into the motivation that became Get Rich or Die Trying. All of the people telling him he couldn't do it or he wasn't good enough, all the anger he felt after the industry turned its back on him, 50 Cent quite literally put his heart and soul into that album. Gossip about the album he was working on started to make its way around the industry and eventually made its way to New York City. Now here's where we have to circle back to that infamous Jay-Z prophecy.
Y'all got a chance right now, just flood it, put out a lot of music because 50 Cent is coming.
Everything Jay-Z said had come true. And on February 6th, 2003, 50 Cent would drop Get Rich or Die Trying, and the rest is history.